Welcome to the 35th meeting of Junto Club. On this episode, C comes by to talk blockchain. We cover the Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana white papers. To start the episode, we discuss a Benji quote about doing you, a college experience that leaves you prepped for isolation in San Quentin, and how listening to a hamster could have made you rich. For any questions, comments, or if you'd like to rant on something important to you, email juntoclubpodcast@gmail.com. This is Junto Club.
Junto Club.
All right. Welcome to the 35th meeting of the Junto Club, where we were inspired by the original Junto Club founded by Benjamin Franklin around 300 years ago to discuss topics including science, sometimes religion, and Bitcoin and business and all the other stuff that we don't understand very well. So anyway, today's topic is basically is talking about crypto, some of the three fundamental, and no, I guess the two of the biggest ones, Bitcoin, Ethereum. But instead of just talking about the topic in general, we're actually going to try to go into the original source, which is on the white paper, like the Bitcoin white paper and the Ethereum white paper. So the reason, I want to do that because, first of all, I read those papers and I don't really understand it. So I want three people that you met, C and also Mike, to, since you guys have much better computer science, I think technical knowledge than me. So that way, I want you to explain it to me basically. So anyway, and then also, I feel like a lot of people, when I talk about a lot of smart people, people that I work with, very, very smart people, they always, when they talk about Bitcoin, they always make fun of Bitcoin and also criticize it, right? So I feel like, but I don't think the people that criticize this Bitcoin, on this blockchain, I don't think they really read the original Bitcoin paper, right? So I feel like, I think you can only criticize an idea after you maybe, read the original idea first. So I think anyway, so I want you guys to read the paper. So now you can have the right to make fun of it. So, all right. So anyway, before we get into that, of course, we're going to start with always start with a quote from Benjamin Franklin, right? So today's quote is, quote, "To all apparent beauties blind, each blemish strikes an envious mind," end quote. Any thoughts?
I think this is a somewhat clear one. So, basically, so I guess if you're confident in yourself and sort of confident in what you're doing, you're not going to necessarily be very actively looking at other people's faults. Whereas if you're sort of if you're envious of what other people have and not very confident in yourself, you'll be picking out every little blemish of other people.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I was wondering if the blemish was about blemishes on themselves. They notice a blemish and then they get envious of other people who they feel like don't have that. But it could go either way. Yours makes sense.
What is the first part? To all apparent beauties blind. Is it the beauties that are blinding?
I feel. What do you think, Mike?
Well, I'm thinking that beauties are blind to so to all apparent beauties blind. So the beauties are blind to the blemishes.
What do you mean? You mean beauty? Other people, when they see beauty, they are blind by the beauty, or do you mean the beauty are
themselves are blind?
Let's see. All apparent beauties blind. So, apparent beauties is a weird phrase, but
the obvious beauties, right?
or
Yeah.
or beauties that are, or people who are beautiful to others.
Yeah. So I guess if they're obviously beautiful, to all apparent beauties blind.
To me, I mean, it means I feel like it's like, I guess, to all beauties, to all, right, to everybody, like apparent beauty is blind. So that means you are blind. Like some, love is blind. Like sometimes if you are like beauty is blind too. Like you are just like seeing this beauty and put it in a pedestal, right? You don't see their blind spots. Maybe you don't see their like flaws and stuff, right? To everybody, like apparent beauty is blind, so you don't see their flaws. But however, to an envious mind, each flaw in the beauty, each flaw would like strike the envious mind. I guess for someone who's very jealous, they will see
they
like
they
will see flaws very easily, right? I'm not sure. Yeah,
Okay.
that's what second part means to me.
Right. Well, that's sort of where I was. That yes. So beauty's like, I guess pure beauty, like you're not gonna see it. You're not gonna see the flaws. But if you're envious, you're gonna pick at every little flaw. Or like if you're insecure, you're gonna pick at every little flaw.
So you are kind of saying, if you are beautiful, right? You be like you see everybody is good. When you are jealous person, you see every flaws, and right.
Right. That's my thinking. Yes. If you're like, I guess beauty in this case could serve as just like a catch all for like have confidence in oneself or have like a drive in a certain direction or whatever. I mean, there's lots of quotes about like, I don't know, like if you're, I don't even remember one, so I don't know why I started that sentence. But like basically the idea being that yes, if you have like a good like direction in your life, you're not worried about like the noise outside of your own little world. So.
I see. You kind of see it as an internal thing. Anyway, what about you, C? Any more thoughts?
I read it as like apparent beauties, as in like not inherent beauties. So these are people or objects that other people find beautiful. And to all refers to everyone else. And so like apparent beauties are blinding to all.
Yeah, I agree with that too.
But then I guess it doesn't make sense about the envious mind. Then like obviously
the second part,
it doesn't blind everyone.
Any insight from you, Matt? I mean,
I have to agree with Mike's interpretation. I mean, I was thinking something a little different, but it makes a lot of sense.
What were you thinking a little bit different?
I forget what my original thought was now when I read it, but
you were blinded by Mike's interpretation.
That's right,
because he was apparently very beautiful.
I think I think it's talking about apparent beauties as people who maybe consider themselves beautiful, or would like to consider themselves beautiful, but are like insecure about it. And, so then they have an envious mind that notices blemishes in others easily. I don't know, maybe.
Okay. All right. I don't think we fully understand what Benjamin Franklin is trying to say here.
Many interpretations.
Yeah, we have an idea. But...
Okay. But I do like the second part. Each blemish strikes an envious mind. I think I like the second part. Anyway, so yeah.
Be confident in you.
What?
Be confident in you and don't seek out flaw in others. It's something like that.
Yeah. Okay. I think then that's a pretty good. Interpretation on its own. Anyway, it's a good philosophy. Anyway, on its own. Cool. All right. So have you guys heard about the windowless dorms designed by Charlie Munger for University of UC. I think I forgot, Barbara or something. Anyway, one of the University of California.
Only because you posted a link about it.
Yes.
But I was just surprised because I kind of thought windows were required for like housing. Like
Exactly.
I would have thought that would have been in like the laws or building codes or something.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. That's why there's a people outcry, right? This is like prison or something, right? Anyway, Charlie Munger, I'm a big fan of Charlie Munger, and that's why I found it surprising. Also, interesting too. So anyway, what do you guys thought? Yeah.
Did they just want to build like a super dense dorm and were like needing walls for windows is like too, inefficient? Like why?
Well, isn't it a fire hazard? Like not having windows? Like, I mean, like a single exit?
What do you mean fire hazard? Even if you have a window in a 10th story, you can't really jump on the window anyway.
Well, yeah, but you can have a fire escape.
Okay, New York City's like the only place that does like window fire escapes that much. Like what hotels anywhere let you, or dorms have let you have a fire escape? None of mine.
You just need stairs, right?
No.
Yeah, nowadays you have the stairs and the concrete, fire safe, tunnel things.
Anyway, so basically this Charlie Munger, what he likes, he's saying that, students don't really, because the problem is that right now you have right now in the dorm is set up that you have two people in the same dorm, right? In the dorm room, basically, right? Share a same room, like two beds, and then you maybe share a bathroom with another adjacent, the door next to you, right? And then so right now he designed it such that you can actually have individually, you have your own room and own bathroom, right? You don't need to share with anybody else. And also, that means in the dorm, right? The dorm is gonna be the lower level going to be dorms, and the highest level, which is going to be the penthouse level. Right, used to be like maybe rich people, usually live in penthouse. So basically, the idea is using the penthouse as a community area, has all the windows. You can work, eat, stuff, hang out there. So instead of in your dorm room, basically. So dorm room is only for sleep. So that was his design, such that better use of space, right? So he actually there's already one existing. He's building one in University of California right now. And there's another one actually, University of Michigan. He actually donated a few $100 million to. Actually, it's already built, right? So it seems to be working out fine. So anyway,
I would say I've lived in several dorms, and they all had individual rooms, and they all had windows, even if you're sharing like a bathroom and stuff.
Yeah.
So you don't need that for individual rooms. But I will agree that for a lot of people, you don't really do much in your room besides sleep in college.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people go study at libraries and classrooms and other stuff and go hang out with friends at other places. So that idea is not bad. Although, building this, I assume he could start constructing this before COVID, which makes it somewhat unfortunate timing because there's probably a lot more people sitting in their rooms than normal.
Yeah.
But for this time, he's gonna put virtual windows in there, like a screen, and have virtual sunlight.
Oh, a
stuff
TV?
Like yeah.
So
yeah, I was reading an article about someone in University of Michigan that was in one of his windowless dorms and how depressed they were having to be confined in the room during COVID.
Yeah. That's what Charlie Munger he regrets. He said, "Oh, I did not put virtual windows in the University of Michigan dorms." But yeah,
maybe if the windows have like a UV lamp built into them, so when it's like fake day, you actually
get
some...
A lot of people use that. I think in the University of Michigan, that's what they did. Actually, they put stuff like that in there.
Literally,
and
Matt's garden.
However, go ahead, Mike.
I was just gonna say it's literally Matt's garden. What did you built in the basement?
Oh, I guess sort of. I didn't put any lights there, but yeah.
Well, I just mean like fake plants with bugs that were LED lights.
That's right. That's right.
You want to explain? You want to explain a little bit what you did, Matt?
This is for my PhD work on it was sort of simulating a precision agricultural setup. But what it was these little PVC pipe rings that had LEDs on multiple sides to represent like weeds and pests and stuff. So a robot could drive around between them looking at them, but obviously doing stuff for real, would be much harder, but you can make an LED glow because it's plugged into a laptop somewhere. That's easy. It wasn't very realistic. I don't think it would help college students feel better.
So how does it affect your circadian rhythm?
Not having sunlight would affect your circadian rhythm.
Without sunlight?
Yeah.
Oh, but when you go to sleep, you don't want sunlight, right? So.
Yeah. Well, I assume they'd probably allow you to. I mean, if they were doing it fake, I'm sure they'd allow people to control it, right? Be able to turn it on and off, adjust the settings, but you could probably also just default it to actual daytime.
Yeah. Anyway,
I'd be curious though. I'd be curious about because I don't know. I mean, it definitely is going to affect your circadian rhythm, and I also wonder if I've been in a room where it was windowless and pitch black at night, and it was, I don't know, it didn't help me sleep. I honestly
did it?
Yeah. I did not like it at all. It was sort of feels almost suffocating. But
when there's no light?
When it's absolutely pitch black.
That's kind of interesting because actually the light is the one that is going to distract you from sleep. So to get into this sleep, actually, a lot of people are saying that you don't want any light at all. You want it to be pitch black.
Yeah.
And I experienced it personally because some hotel I stay in, when one hotel room has very heavy
the blackout
curtains that make it pitch black. Actually, I sleep a lot longer. I sleep a lot better. I feel like.
Yeah. No, I mean, I guess it's. I agree with you that I feel like I sleep better in hotels with windows and blackout curtains, but I guess it's more just a box. If it's just literally four walls. I don't know.
More of a psychological effect, right?
Yeah, I think there's more of a psychological effect there, definitely.
So
all right.
Stay tuned I was going to suggest he upgrades to those just Japanese pod hotel style rooms where why give people a whole room when they could just have a bunk, in a wall that they just slide into to sleep. Yeah, a coffin. Just go all the way and then make even more communal space with those savings. But
anyway,
maybe people like Mike wouldn't enjoy that.
Yeah, even more controversial. Anyway, so when asked,
maybe you can go to sleep in a normal room, and then they once you're asleep, they put you in the pod.
Yeah, people just casually taking sleeping students and putting them in coffins. Nothing weird about that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so as you know, Charlie Munger is 97. So when asked if he's planning to work out more of these projects and stuff like that, try to expand the idea, spread the idea a little bit more, right? Windowless dorms. He replied, his answer is I'm ready to die soon, so I'm not gonna do that. So anyway, I like his answer.
It is weird for a 90-year-old to be pushing a new type of dorm room.
Yeah, and I mean he's very active. He's read a lot of books and he donated his money, right? So if you want this few $100 million to build a dorm, you got to follow my design. So.
So he's not an architect?
He's not an architect.
Oh.
You don't know who is Charlie Munger? See?
No.
Oh, he's the investment partner of Warren Buffett. So if you don't have Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger, and Charlie Munger is to me is the modern day Benjamin Franklin. He always have these wise, very very quick wit sayings, stuff like that. So anyway, I really enjoy whatever he says.
Also, apparently an architect on the project quit because he wouldn't listen to what they were saying. Maybe they were saying they need windows or something. I don't know. Mm-hmm. But the actual architect just left the project.
Yeah.
Maybe they were we need more than one toilet per 6 people.
Yeah. Anyway. So, should we talk about Omicron a little bit quickly? Because I know Matt, you are really into biology, so you probably understand it a lot better than me. So, can you explain a little bit? Yeah.
That's news to me. Well, I think it's just relative to you. I know some about biology, but you somehow managed to miss like all biology classes in your lifetime.
Yeah.
As far as it's just another variant of COVID, right? What
I
I've
think
heard
it's just too early for us to know anything about it, right?
Yeah, I think that's mainly it. I saw something that suggested vaccines were still reasonably effective against it, but there's also concern that like some of the mutations do help it avoid are supposed to help it like when they looked at the mutations they're like, oh, that should help it avoid some of the immune system. But apparently some data suggested vaccinated people are okay. It's too early to know, how big of a deal it is.
When I see in the news, they're talking about spike proteins, like something different about. Anyway, what are spike proteins?
So, COVID, the virus has like, it has like the RNA inside of it, and it has like a shell, and then there's these spike proteins kind of sticking out of the shell.
Oh yeah. And that's what they are. The sticky thing.
Yeah, and those are what like attach to your cell walls in the right way with like connectors, receptors on your cell walls. And this is where anyone who's done actual biology is like, this guy's saying it all wrong. But basically the spike proteins like lock into your cell walls, and then that lets the virus get inside your cell and dump its RNA to kill the cell and have the cell make more viruses. So I believe the way the antibodies work is essentially they find those specific proteins that the virus has, and then they like lock on and block them and attack the virus to make it worthless. So if they change, then the antibodies you had won't necessarily work for them anymore, or might be less effective. So, as this changes, the immunity you have might not help anymore. That's my understanding, and I am not a biologist. But
all right. Sounds good. But do you know why they call it Omicron? Then I think did you hear like on Twitter I see like people pointing out, looks like they skip something. So after Delta is supposed to be C, right? XI, and then they just skip over C, go straight to Omicron variant. Did you hear about that?
Yeah, I did hear about that, because that's, they didn't want the political implications of that name. So they're just like, we'll skip one Greek alphabet letter.
Oh, President Xi Jinping?
Yeah, I think the Greek alphabet's like spelled the same with like just XI.
Oh,
yeah.
So they're like, oh.
Of course.
I mean, it's just one letter of the Greek alphabet. It makes sense to not like commit to doing that and potentially cause controversy and just be like, it's just easier just to pass over it.
Yeah.
Funny coincidence, though.
That actually
definitely a coincidence.
Anyway,
right.
But I agree with Matt's summary. But I've allegedly Omicron has 5 times the mutations on the spike protein compared to like Delta. So that's why people were flipping out about it, because there's a lot more changes on that, like, what the antibodies bind to. So,
okay, hold on. Is it Omicron but not Omicron? I've only been reading it. I haven't heard anyone say it.
I think it's Omicron. I don't know. Omicron sounds cool anyway.
Okay. All right.
But
well, in like 3 weeks when we do another podcast, we'll probably have some more information about if it's actually dangerous or not.
Yeah,
gotcha.
Because I'm debating about when to get my booster. Like, if I should, like, where I had COVID pretty recently, I'm wondering if I should, like, if they're, like, wait for an updated, or if I should. Because presumably I got Delta. Like, presumably. Like, when I got it, it was the dominant variant. So.
Gotcha.
But we'll see.
Okay.
All right. So is it finally time to shit on Bitcoin?
Yes.
Not yet. One more. So speaking of
okay.
Omicron, that's a cryptocurrency actually called Omicron. It was named like really way before the crypto the variant started. So
don't tell me its price spiked.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh. All
right. And before we go to another related sad news about crypto is, have you heard about Mr. Gox, Goxx?
No.
Oh.
No?
Other than the link you just posted, no.
Did you read the link?
I read the headline of the link.
Okay, can you summarize the headline?
It's a mouse that apparently had a good financial history with cryptocurrency.
Yeah, it's a hamster, right?
Oh, hamster, whatever.
It's a basically so the news is that Mr. Cox, he recently died. He actually was very good. It's a project that, so basically it's a crypto trading hamster. Basically what they did is that they put a hamster into a wheel, and when the wheel spins, right, it will end it in a cryptocurrency, right? And then they decide which current cryptocurrency to trade on. And then there's two tunnels after the wheel, and the hamster will go into a tunnel, left or right, and then each tunnel represents like buy or sell, right? So basically, the human will execute the trade, and actually for the past like 6 months or so, hamster actually have been beating the market like by 20% or something. Anyway, so he's a very good crypto hamster trading hamster. So anyway, so you actually gain a lot of following on the social media. So a lot of people are following like anyway, Mr. Cox. But
okay,
yeah.
So if it's actually gaining a social following, could this be like a self-fulfilling prophecy thing? Hamster buys some crypto. People are like, oh shit, the hamster bought this crypto. I should buy this crypto. You know, a few thousand people do that. The price bumps up because a few thousand people bought it, and that starts generating more interest around it. Hamster wins money.
Good point. It's possible. Wow. Pump and dump.
Pump and dump, but using a furry hamster to hide it.
Anyway, the creator of the owner of the hamster, they came out with a project basically to illustrate how much knowledge you don't really need to know, like just how random this market is, right? Like, have you heard the study like about the chimps like throwing darts on a ball?
Darts, yeah. I was gonna say this is like the new age version of the monkey that threw darts.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Can you explain that a little bit? Study?
They had a monkey throw darts to determine what stocks to buy and sell, and it did well. It was the same thing, right? They trained it to throw darts based on where it hit on a board. They made trades.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So basically, just illustrating how I guess sometimes you see these a lot of investment advice from a lot of like traders. You know, it's like they're just monkey throwing darts, basically.
They're worse than monkeys throwing darts.
Oh yeah, yes, exactly. So anyway, so cool. Let's get into the Bitcoin paper then. Any thoughts? You guys read it? Any thoughts?
All right. Here's my thought. If I was going to try to summarize Bitcoin, the technology, without going into extreme detail, it's basically it basically lets you decentralized. It lets you verify like trades or contracts in a decentralized way in a sort of a majority agreement where if the majority agrees that something happened, it happened, except instead of the majority just being like a vote, which can easily be gained, the majority is based on computation power, which is difficult because it's expensive to get. So it's difficult for any individual to cheat the system. And then, so you have this decentralized majority vote system that's hard to beat, and it just does what a bank does, essentially verifies trades and things like that, exchange of money or currency. Is that a good high level summary, you think, Shu?
I think so. Yeah.
Because honestly, the more I've read about it, the more the technical details mean a little bit less to me. Like it's like I don't really care that much about how it uses a hash to do the underlying things. I'm concerned, I guess, about like, what is it actually doing and what, the advantages and disadvantages of it. I assume the technology works. I trust that it does because it obviously works, right? There's enough money in Bitcoin that if someone could break it, they would have probably so it seems to be secure. The underlying ideas work. That's my opinion.
What's the idea?
That the underlying ideas of using like the consensus-based approach to like securely and decentralized, verify transactions.
Yeah. Basically, decentralized, you mean like network of computers, right? Verifying.
That's right.
Yeah.
Because it does what your bank does when you put a credit. What I would say is it does what your bank does when you give your credit card to like a store, right? Like it verifies the transaction and allows it to
Add the
happen.
number to one place and subtract that number from another.
Right. But instead of having a centralized, like, you know, the traditional centralized banking system do it, it's a decentralized approach, you know, working on, you know, that works via a bunch of people's computers running this algorithm. High level.
Right. All right, let's see. Well, what do you think about the paper after you read it?
Yeah, I think I'm the same opinion. Like the underlying mechanism seems to work, and I think that's fine. But you know, if we're going to talk about like the future of crypto, like I don't think that really depends on the underlying mechanism.
Why not?
Because it's more about trust, right? And whether like how liquid, how usable, how convenient, how quick can you make a transaction without relying on a central authority.
Yeah, what do you mean by trust? Like people need to trust Bitcoin? Is that what you're saying? Like,
well, like, you know, currency is basically a form of trust, right? You trust that someone else will take it. You trust that you can exchange it for something of value.
Okay. What about you, Mike?
I mean, I think basically, I mean, it went over the details that I had heard a couple of times before, like with how it works. I guess with Bitcoin in particular, like there, I guess, has been some argument about like the environmental impact of like Bitcoin mining, and like obviously the underlying mechanisms like do come into play with how much energy is being used. And actually that is sort of like, in a way, like that is what Bitcoin depends on, is it's like too energy inefficient to break it. Like, or, you know, like you would need too much energy to break it. So, but I guess, the future of cryptocurrency like may change or may be determined by that, just in the sense of like there are some people who would argue that the energy like required to do this like verification process should be like, you should find a verification process that should be better in the sense of using less energy, so that like the computer scientists, like the underlying details are useful for, but yeah, it doesn't necessarily change whether crypto's adopted or not. So.
Yeah.
Relevant to what Mike said, I want to jump in slightly and say, if we looked at the Solana paper you sent us, so it's about a new approach that uses proof of history.
Yeah.
And they mentioned it really can speed up transactions a lot, which is one of the flaws of Bitcoin. But it also uses proof of work at the same time. So the paper's like, oh, it uses the proof of history along with proof of work. Does it reduce how much proof of work is required? Like, can it do the same number of transactions with a lot less energy usage? That wasn't as clear to me. Did you read that, Shu? And are you maybe more familiar with the new proof of history stuff?
I think Solana, I'm not sure if Solana used proof of work. I think they use something called proof of stake.
Okay.
And I mean, so proof of work is called mining. You need to mine. That's why you need to use your computer power to mine it, right? And proof of stake and proof of history combination of that is that proof of stake, you don't mine anymore. You basically have so-called like validator nodes, right? So basically, proof of stake is like you get a lot of this. You store like for example, you buy these Solana tokens, I think, and then you can stake it, right? So that means like instead of voting using your CPU power or computer power, you voting using how much you own of the currency, right? If you own more Solana or these tokens, you basically have more vote on the transaction, stuff like that. So I think that's I think that's the basic idea of proof of stake, but I could be wrong. But,
Does that mean everyone who owns Solana needs to also be running like a node connected to the internet to do this, or
no? There's some people that actually. I'm actually looking into it, so I might talk about it in the future. I'm looking into how became a valid. Now you can became a validator and stuff like that, but that might be hard. So yeah, some people I think they have. I'm not sure how many validators they have out there. That basically, yeah, to validate that transaction, they call it validators instead of like miners, basically.
So okay, so we don't have to go into those details as much, but basically, because the high cost for crypto, whether you're using proof of work or the proof of storage, it's like that alternative method, is like it's a big negative, right? Like it is a really big negative of the approach, and I mean, if you can get rid of that, then it becomes much more appealing. I'm still not totally convinced about how important the sort of decentralized nature is in terms of benefits, but like if you can get rid of one of the huge costs, it becomes more like well, why not if you want to, rather than this is using more electricity than entire countries to do something of skeptical
Anyway,
value.
yeah, I really don't want to spend too much time on like energy debate of cryptocurrency. I just want to say that there's some people, there's a lot of drawback, but just imagine how much people spend energy, like electricity, to watching a TV show, right? Squid Games or Tech Lasso, all this stuff. Now, how much time, how much energy you spend sitting there doing nothing, right? And then actually, there's another side argument about cryptocurrency is actually it actually might drive people to come out with cheaper electricity, like to motivate people actually to come out with the cheaper electricity, basically, right? Anyway, there's like for example, volcano energy in in another country and stuff like that. Anyway, I'm not sure how realistic that is, but there's another side of the debate. So anyway, so back to the Bitcoin white paper is like. Is it a good paper? Do you think it's a good paper
Yes, I think it's a good paper. I mean, it literally changed the world. I don't see how you could say it's a bad paper.
But did you learn anything? Like, did anything change your view on Bitcoin after you read it, or no, still staying the same?
I mean, I don't know. I guess I got more, you hear like a little bit about like the blockchain and stuff, and once you read it, you get a better idea. Not like a perfect, because this isn't my area of work or expertise, but you get like a better idea, which does make me, I guess, more comfortable with the underlying technology, in the sense of like, I mean, I wasn't concerned that Bitcoin could be like tricked at some point, but it makes you more comfortable after you read it. Like, okay, yeah, this seems like it should be secure, that because the ideas make sense along with it working in the real world. But like it doesn't really change my fundamental opinion of Bitcoin, just because I think most people are confident that Bitcoin is secure, in the sense that you can verify trades of Bitcoin and money and whatnot. I think when people talk about uncertainty with Bitcoin, it's mostly about the price, right? Like, the price of a Bitcoin fluctuates drastically over time, sometimes based on one person's tweet. So, but no one's, I haven't really seen anyone be concerned their Bitcoins will get like stolen from them or something like that. So I think most people are like, the technology's solid.
I mean, there are the horror stories of people who like lose their, lose their Bitcoin wallet or whatever, and have lost $100 million. But
but that's different between so Bitcoin has never been hacked, right? So, but where you store the wallet, like where you store Bitcoin, that can be hacked, right? If you don't worry about, you're not good with your password and all these stuff, security stuff, you're gonna be hacked, right? So
that stuff happens, but I've never seen it blamed on them, right? Like, you can lose your Bitcoin wallet, but I mean, you can also drop cash and lose on the street and lose it, right? Like if you just lose something, that's kind of just on you.
Right. Now, I mean, I guess there's more opportunity potential, or I guess fraud is the wrong word, but more opportunities for just theft. And, and then, like the paper doesn't address like the issues we've talked about before, which is like, like why is this better than the centralized version? And, or why is this more useful than like centralized versions? And, and the fluctuating price. So
the issue is like no individual is interfacing with the Bitcoin network via the mining system, right? Like if you have Bitcoin, it's in a wallet with some central authority. And then any transactions you make converting to and out of Bitcoin is going to be with that authority. So I'm really not sure. It's basically taking it out of the government's hands and into a bunch of private banks, essentially.
Well, and then the big exchanges, right? But I mean, if you can still store your Bitcoin in your own wallet, right? In your hardware wallet, right?
Okay, but how do you then make trades with it?
To make trade, then you need to go through these exchanges, right?
Right.
Depends on
So
what
it's
you
still
want.
gatekept by.
Depends what you want to use
authority.
it for, right? You can store it just on your hard drive, right? You can.
Yeah, but say I
want
want to buy a Tesla with it. How do I do that?
Well, then you need to convince Tesla to accept it directly, right? So
No. Say like there's already like dealerships that will sell you a used Tesla or something, right? For a Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you get that? Say you don't have like one Bitcoin, you have like multiple Bitcoins in your wallet. How do you transfer that through the network to the seller without going through a central authority?
It's not.
You just need to add.
It's not a central authority, but like one of these like miners, right? Like these are the nodes that sort of like append
right. Some
ledger.
authority.
So I would say it's, to be fair to Shu, I think it's more decentralized than the traditional banking system. But I also agree with you that it's not truly decentralized in the sense that there are still people. But I guess the difference is, in theory, anyone can try to become a new node that appends to the ledger and, handles these transactions. So these people kind of hop in and out, so they can gatekeep, but they're not like, there's not just one of them or, a set number. It's more decentralized. I think you'd agree, right? Even if it's not truly fully decentralized.
Well, I mean, the blockchain itself is fully decentralized, but when you want to using it, so for ordinary people, and then when you want to use it, you might have to go through some of these like third parties, right, to like Coinbase or some kind of like these third parties to do it, right? But however, blockchain, these third parties, sometimes some of these third parties actually are being little by little, and they became decentralized as well, because they are actually controlled by a decentral, like they could become a DAO basically, right? The decentralized autonomous organization that actually can be controlled by the community. But anyway, that's I think we can go to that in the future. But anyways, yeah. But yeah, then that's fair. Then that's fair to say ordinary people still need to go to a like third party right now to use Bitcoin. But anyway, going back to the anything else? I forgot where were we before we were talking about the decentralization.
Do you have any questions about how Bitcoin works?
Oh yeah. So to me, I guess before I want to get there, to me, I think the core idea or core problem that these Bitcoin at the beginning try to solve is like how to get multiple, like how to get computers that don't trust each other to agree on something, right? To arrive on a consensus that, okay, this is the transaction, right? So that's fundamentally what is the problem try to solve. An idea.
I think the way it solves it is by slowing the computer down such that to process a transaction, to verify a transaction, it's comparable to some fraction of the propagation time through the network.
What do you mean slow it down? Why slow it down?
Right. So the whole idea is that by the time that you can verify a transaction, then it would have like that verification you broadcast it to the network, and by the time you can make another one, like it would have distributed to like half the network. So that's the ratio that they're trying to get to, is that if someone were to receive a new packet and then start to generate a fake packet, they won't be able to before someone else can.
So
there's something about like they can't catch up.
Yeah. So that's kind of related to the proof of work, right? So I guess one of my question is that what is proof of work and how does it work?
It's a hash that takes a long time to do.
What's a hash?
It's a pseudo-random hash.
What's a hash? Yeah, pseudo. But what does hash mean? Like you see,
hash means you're doing a series of computations. Like you add something, you multiply with something, you left shift, you right shift, you throw away some bits, you multiply it by itself, shift it, and then you get like a hard to predict value. And the only way you can verify this value is by doing the actual computation.
Okay, but what's a hash? Now, what's a hash? Like you heard now something called hash function. But what does that?
The whole idea.
What's an idea? What's an idea behind hash?
The whole idea of a hash function is you take, one set of numbers and you transform it to another set of numbers.
Okay.
Right. But the property of this transformation is that a sequential series of inputs will translate into like basically random numbers.
Mm-hmm.
So that you can't do like +1 on the input and it's +1 on the output.
Mm.
So there's some interesting properties, like there's hard to collide, collision resistant. So like if you do like 1, 2, 3, 4 input, they're not going to be the same number on the other end. And usually it's like many to few, but I don't know what the actual transformation is for this. But usually they say like 64-bit, 256 bits hash, right? That means the output is 256 bits. And the input could be whatever. It could be like 1,000 bits. But it's just going to be broken down into this 256-bit output, and it's going to look random to you. There's no way for you to take the output and derive the input. Right, because there's missing information.
Okay, that's still quite complicated to me. So, Matt, can you dumb it down for me?
Just the hash?
Yeah, the hash function was an idea behind it.
Well, you can think of like it's kind of like you've used a random number generator in programming, right?
Yeah, so you
can seed it, right? Like, and you give it a different seed and it pops something out that's different.
Oh, just press a button, you generate a random number for me.
Hash is kind of like that, except rather than continuing to generate multiple, it's just a one-time thing. You put in one seed and it generates a random thing on the output based on that seed, but specific. So if you do the seed, you'll always get the same output. But as he said, it's essentially random. Like you cannot guess based on the output what the seed was. That's what it really tries to make impossible, is to go backwards.
Like we can give you a very simple example, like divide by 4 is a hash function, right? You give it 16, you get 4. You give it 17, you still get 4, right? So there's no way to get the input if the output is 4.
But
right?
So you input something to the hash function, you generate something and output a number. But what's the whole idea behind why do we need hash function? What's the purpose of it, right? Why do we need hash function to do stuff?
That's what Steve was getting at earlier.
Security, right? You hash a password so that you can store the password, but you don't know what the actual password is.
Okay.
Right. So one use is you store the password, and then when a user wants to authenticate, they have to put in the actual password, which gets hashed to some random value. Right. And the only way to generate that random value is with the password.
So you're saying that when I enter a password into Gmail or something, Google doesn't really store my password. They store the hash value of that password.
Right.
And then they store that hash. And then every time I enter my password, what Google sees is the hash, right?
Right. So if someone steals the list of hashed passwords, they can't use that to log back into your account unless they brute force, right? They just take every single combination of every letter, number, and symbol, and then they just guess and they do the computation, the hash computation on all of those guesses, and then eventually they'll get to the right one, and then they can use that guess to enter your password, to enter your account.
So how is hash using a proof of work and Bitcoin? How is that related?
It takes a long time. That's the whole idea. Is that you're not just generating a hash, you're generating hash that has to be less than a certain value. Right? And because you don't know what the value of the output of the hash is before ahead of time, you're just throwing in random inputs until you get an output that matches.
So the way I understand it, and you have like the ledger, right? Like you have the ledger you want to append to the blockchain. And this includes some information or the hash of the last block, but it's mostly your new block. And then you're looking for a hash that takes all that info and turns it into a number with a certain amount of zeros in front. And as C said, this is somewhat random. How do you figure out that the output of this hash function will have this many number of zeros? You can't. You try billions of random inputs until you get lucky. And this is the proof of work.
It's you're taking that block and a little bit of random number, and then you hash it, and then you change that random number over and over again, and you're hashing the number and the block together until you get a hash that passes the passing function, and then you publish the block and that random number so that anyone else can verify. So they only have to run the hash function once, but you have to run it 1 billion times to find the right random number.
Okay. So that is programmed into the blockchain, right?
Yeah. And
for me, for example, if I'm the computer that is running a node that's doing that, okay. So how? I guess so. Why is it taking? You say it has to be a specific number. So you say, I think in the paper it says it has to be like certain number of zeros.
Yeah. So, okay, say you have a 32-bit hash output, right? But the first three digits, or the most significant 3 digits, has to be 0. So that's the same thing as it has to be less than, 2 to the 29. So like 512 billion or something like that. 512 with 6 zeros behind it.
You know that offhand? That's kind of crazy.
This is my work, right? So this.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why we need Sion.
Right. So you're generating an output. You can't predict this output, so you don't know if it can be bigger or smaller until you do. So you're taking that little bit of random number. It's called nonce or something. I don't.
Yeah, nonce. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you're taking some input, right, which is the nonce plus the block, and then you're forcing this into the hash function, and the hash function chops it up, rearranges it, shifts it around, multiply it, ORs it, whatever, and it does this like hundreds or thousands or tens of thousands of times, and then you get one number. Right. And so they can tweak the hash function so that it takes maybe a second to generate a hash, or however long it is. I don't know what it is. It's like SHA 256.
Yeah. So can I say like proof of work is basically going to casino and playing, what's the thing that we were playing, yanking
slot machine.
Slot machine. Can I say that basically that's what it is? You just keep yanking it until you get all 3, and then you get all the coins, right? Is that, can I say that's what proof of work is? You just keep doing the work and then with some randomness to it?
Right, but there is, but you can prove that you did pull the slot, and other people can pull it the same way and get the jackpot.
Yeah.
So whichever gets first, right? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But when you do this enough, that sort of probability, smooths out, right? So it's not like miners are hoping they get lucky one day. I don't think. I think it's like, they're running 1 trillion calculations every day. So, they get an average amount somewhat consistently over time.
Yeah, exactly. I see. So let me recap. So if I'm the computer node doing the mining, so I see a transaction coming, someone spending a Bitcoin or something like transaction. I basically want to add this transaction to the blockchain, right? So I take this new transaction, and there's a nonce, which is a number that input I can play with, right? I basically changing a nonce, a number every single time, and then I try to see if I generate a correct hash value, right? The output. If the output is matches to whatever the blockchain is determined previously, I get a reward saying, okay, I have done the work. I verify this is a good transaction, and then I can append it to the blockchain, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay.
But that makes me wonder, right? Like if you have all these nodes on the network that are trying to do this, are they all trying to get their transaction through?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think.
I think so. So I think what happens if you don't win, like your block doesn't win, then you have to, and a new block gets accepted, you have to just restart your block onto the old block.
Right. So if you're just some guy with one machine, you're never gonna be able to put any transaction into the network.
Probably not yourself, no. Or you're gonna be waiting to get lucky for a while. Which is why people, have these buildings with, 100 NVIDIA GPUs all running.
Right. So you have to give your Bitcoin or whatever to them somehow.
I don't think it's you give the Bitcoin. I think it's that you give them the transaction information. And there's I think they have something like a private public key system to verify that two people do it. But then only that one block miner is like, oh yes, these keys match up, whatever, the transaction is valid. And then they try to tell everyone that.
Yeah. So what I still don't understand is how, so if I take this transaction, how do I this transaction is the right transaction? How do they know that I did not just say, okay, send 10 Bitcoins to me and I try to add that to the chain, right? So I just keep doing the hash function. How do how do the blockchain know, okay, this is the true transaction and not a fake transaction? Right.
Well, are you saying are you saying if I am trying to send myself 10 Bitcoins and I don't have 10 Bitcoins, how does it know that?
Yeah, if I want to add that transaction onto the blockchain, I guess I just wondering how, I'm not sure, I don't understand how do they know which transaction is the true transaction?
That's what the ledger is for, right? Every account starts with 0 Bitcoins.
Okay.
So when you make an account, someone has to transfer you their Bitcoin.
Okay.
So then you have a history. Then you can't give yourself Bitcoins. It has to come from somewhere. The only way that Bitcoins are generated is when someone successfully mines a block.
Okay.
And at that point, what they're saying is, okay, I've verified that these transactions work, and I've added coins to myself. Right? Every time these people are doing proof of work, they have a set of transactions that they want to confirm, and they can add a little bit of transaction, 25 Bitcoins to their own account.
25 Bitcoins, a little bit. Yeah. And I believe they also have a fee system built into Bitcoin too, right? Because there's a finite number of Bitcoins. It will only ever be so many Bitcoins in the world.
25 million, I think.
And I believe there's a fee. And so if you want to get your transaction faster, you can offer a bigger fee of I'll give you 0.01 Bitcoin to try to make a block with my transaction first. And I think that's something I've heard, you actually have to, and as over time, that's going to become the dominant way miners make money, is by taking fees from people to actually do the work.
Yeah, that's what I think Ethereum is doing. Something called gas, which is fees basically. That's how they reward the miners basically to get paying the gas fee. I'm not sure about Bitcoin has fees. Yeah, I think maybe it's Ethereum that has fees. Yeah.
Well, I guess you could, like in your transaction, you could say like, oh, I'm going to transfer the miner some Bitcoin fee. And then the miner can preferentially choose the block that has that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm double checking, but yeah, Bitcoin miners can use fees to decide which transactions to confirm first. A sufficient fee makes it more likely you'll be confirmed in a short time.
Okay.
So yeah, Bitcoin, and that's going to become, over time, that will become the only way miners make money, right? Because running out of Bitcoins to mine.
Okay. So, I guess, what about, so another key question on this paper is something called Merkle tree, right? What is that used in Bitcoin? Like, what's the point of the Merkle tree?
I think that is just so you don't have to look at the whole tree. You can look at some subsections of it and know that, once that's verified, then, the rest of the tree is verified.
You mean like the blockchain?
Yeah.
So how they store the transaction, how they store the ledger, they don't just store it in a sequential, big spreadsheet, right? They store it in a data structure called Merkle tree, right? That way you don't need to, when you verify, you don't need to look at the whole ledger. You look at a smaller portion of the ledger, right?
Right.
Okay.
So yeah, I think looking at the paper again, basically all the roots that you don't care about, you just like use the hash. Like you keep the hash, but not the whole root. So you sort of keep the ledger partially hashed, and then part of the ledger, you get the actual underlying data, and that way you don't have to store as much.
Right.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, I think when I was starting for coding interviews, I think I came across like Merkle tree. I said, "Oh, what the heck?" Bitcoin actually used Merkle tree to do it, and it's when I read the paper. Oh, I heard of Merkle tree. I don't know what it does or how to program it, but I heard of it. Okay, so last question. I think when you talking back in the day, people when they talk about blockchain, they always something called immutable. Like, what does immutable mean?
Not changeable.
Oh, in programming speak, in not changeable. Why? So okay, so blockchain is not changeable because you cannot
change the history,
tamper with it. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. I guess that's okay. So are you guys a believer in Bitcoin now after you read the paper?
Not anymore. I'm less Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. I'm more like it's a speculative asset, but it's at least an asset. I still feel like NFTs are a giant scam, but Bitcoin at least has shown value over time in a way that sort of makes sense. I'm still skeptical about it being a currency more than a asset.
Yeah, it behaves pretty much like a volatile stock.
That keeps going up.
That keeps going up.
Well, except for all the times it drops.
Overall, if you average it, right? If you average it out, it's always keep going. Every time it drops, it doesn't really go to the lowest level anymore, right? You always like go up. The floor is always higher than the previous floor, right?
That's true.
I think it makes sense if you look at it from a systems perspective. Like in all, you look at the whole world, like where all the cash is, where people have money, where most of the cash resides. Where is that going? And a lot of it's going into stock and Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies, because there's nowhere else for the money to go to, and like countries are printing money, and where's that going to? Stocks and probably cryptocurrencies. So there's this pressure, there's influx of money, and there's not enough places to
Invest.
not enough sinks to take that money in
Gotcha.
in a productive sense, in a way that will give you at least a perceived sense of return. But stocks will do that.
So you say in a country during the pandemic, especially the US, have been printing a lot of money, right? And all this money, people don't really spend it. They just basically buy cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, during this time.
Well, there was an article about how like the US prints some like an increase of 30% in like the money supply last year. So that's a lot of extra money, right? And the thing is, like, it's not like they're just distributing it in terms of just the stimulus checks. Like some of it, sure, but a lot of it is going into like the major banks, right? They say, oh, we're gonna give you this loan, trillions of dollars or many hundreds of billions of dollars to each individual bank, and be like, we're gonna give you this loan for 0 interest. Or in Europe, it's like negative interest, like negative 0.5%. So they're like paying these banks to take these loans, right? And the banks are like, well, okay, we're either getting free money or we're getting some money for, we're getting some profit for this money. And so they want to take a safe bet. So are they going to loan it out to people who are in desperate need of money, who probably not going to be able to pay it back? No, they're gonna loan out to people who they know can make money, right? So like large corporations,
like Mike,
like Volkswagen, like Google, like Apple, whoever, right? And what are these companies going to do? Well, people aren't really buying more stuff necessarily. They're not buying more cars. They're not buying more whatever. So they end up buying their own stock. Like Volkswagen bought like $1 billion of their own stock, right? And that raises the price of stocks. And that's good for the people who are buying stocks, which is themselves.
The people who own the stocks, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, guys. A crash is coming soon. That's the point.
I would say part of that's not quite wrong, or quite right, though, because people are buying more stuff. And we've kind of had the supply crisis, right? And it's part continued disruptions from the global pandemic, but it's also part that, post-COVID, a lot of people were spending less during COVID, and then they got stimulus checks and stuff. And, and sometimes even if people don't necessarily have more money because they had their own financial problems, they just kind of got sick of sitting home and like wanted to be like, go do things. So a lot of people are spending more, buying more around the world, actually. And it's sort of, that's part of the supply crisis, is just more people trying to buy stuff, right?
Right, but it's not influencing inflation. It's not influencing the price of products.
More demand?
I mean, prices are determined by supply and demand. So if demand shoots up and supply hasn't been able to keep up, that does increase the price of stuff. Like a lot of people started doing home renovations and building homes, after COVID. And that's part of why wood prices shot up so high, is because there was a big spike in how much people wanted wood.
Right. Sure. Yeah. There's definitely that, but it's not connected to the government printing money.
It's partly though, right? Because some of it, I agree, it's not all, but some of it was literally, done via
the stimulus checks. Right. Yeah. That helps. But that kind of, it's not,
I guess I don't have a good idea like what percentage is stimulus check versus other economic things, but spending is up.
Right. But a lot of people were unemployed, so they weren't able to spend money. And so this stimulus kind of took that place.
That's true. But we also had increased unemployment for a lot of those people who are unemployed too, right? Like much longer duration, more money paid out per week.
Right.
Stuff like that.
Yeah,
so there's a balance.
The economy was stagnating, and so they needed to do more of that, because like people go out less, they drive less, so they spend less money in some areas and more money in other areas.
All right, guys.
Is this you trying to wrap up because you need to go pack, Shu?
No, I'm saying that I want to bring it back to Bitcoin. So inflation. So stay tuned for future episode on what inflation is and how inflation works from C. All right. So
Well, this is one of the reasons Bitcoin is popular. Is it's supposed to be more inflation resistant, right?
got you. Yes,
So-
yes, but I want to talk about like Bitcoin itself. I don't want to talk about like what's the implications. I want to talk about like technology behind the underlying idea and then implementation, the hardcore stuff, not the
Well, I think we touched
speculation.
on some of that.
Anyway, Mike, what do you think about Bitcoin after you read the paper?
I guess with respect to underlying stuff, I guess it helped fill in the details that I had sort of heard before about proof of work and stuff like that. I mean, the paper as a whole, like I say, I'm still not, I guess, as you put it, the fluff. I'm still not sold on Bitcoin's fluff. But
So you didn't buy more Bitcoin?
no, I haven't bought more cryptocurrency lately.
All right. So are you guys going to move to Miami though?
Oh, for
Miami coin. Isn't there's New York coin? Matt doesn't.
No, yeah, but I'm saying Miami because actually Miami mayor, he's gonna give out Bitcoin to his citizens. So basically, yeah, he's gonna get these Miami coins, right? Miami coins, what he earns like Bitcoin, and these dividends, he can basically just give it out to Miami people, right? So anyway, that's what he's planning to do, actually.
Wait, if he gives out the profits to the people, what happens when the price goes down and he loses money? Does he increase taxes?
I don't know.
Because I mean, Bitcoin goes both ways, right? Like you get gains and losses.
All right. Anyway, so yeah, I don't know. So we'll see how it goes. But anyway, so next for the remaining 30 minutes, I want to talk about Ethereum. So, all right, what's your guys think about Ethereum?
Okay, so it's Ethereum's like Bitcoin, but in general, rather than just a coin, you can do transactions for like any sort of contract, I guess is the way they put it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like, I think the most well-known example now is NFTs. So, rather than claiming ownership of a Bitcoin, you claim ownership of an NFT, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
But this one seems way more centralized because, like, if I say this tweet is mine, I have to register with Ethereum or some network and say, hey, give me an NFT, I own this.
Yeah.
But like someone else, even if that's my tweet, someone else could go to like a different network and say, oh, I own this and register with that network.
Yeah.
Which is, I guess,
it's like
kind
first
of
to register kind of thing.
I don't know if it's just for like if they validate it beyond first to register. These are some of the details, but that's one question. But the first one is like it feels very centralized in the sense that like I don't know, like it's
there's
basically
only one
Ethereum
network, right?
Ethereum gatekeeps what is and is not valid, right?
Kind of in a way, but
like it's
yeah.
Well, it's valid on its own network.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Just like Bitcoins are only valid on the Bitcoin network.
Yeah.
Right. So then I guess you could just say that's fine. Ethereum's the big one, so everyone should use it. In the same way that you could invest in Bitcoin or invest in a different cryptocurrency, but it just makes the whole, I mean, from the get-go, an NFT saying like you own something seems speculative. And then that just fact that you could just have another network, someone else could just say they own it on, makes it more speculative. This isn't really Ethereum in general. It's just NFTs, which is one of the big uses of it.
Yeah,
but...
I mean, NFT is just an application, right? It doesn't. We are focused on Ethereum. We want but yeah, I mean, it makes sense to talk about NFT because it's very popular right now. But
right. So besides
sometimes I mean, you could have a scan application on Ethereum. Like it doesn't. Anybody can use it to create application, but even if the application is a bad idea, it doesn't mean that Ethereum fundamentally is a bad idea, right? So do you think that Ethereum is a good idea? Like, is it the core idea is sound?
I'm not sure, and this is why, because I need to see. I guess I want to see uses of it that make sense beyond. okay, let's say cryptocurrency, let's just say that makes sense in one way. But we have a lot of cryptocurrencies that don't need Ethereum. NFTs are another use. I think that's a scam. Is there another example of a way NFTs can be useful beyond making new cryptocurrencies?
You mean Ethereum?
Yeah. Can Ethereum be useful beyond making new cryptocurrencies?
Yeah.
I'm sure they would argue yes, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like doing what?
Something like voting, I guess. One thing is about one application is decentralized autonomous organization, right? It basically is a small contract, like where you can basically like people like buy tokens in a like if you create basically a kind of, I mean, DAO is kind of like a company, right? You basically buy tokens in a company and you can vote for it, right? So decentralized just means like everybody own a token that can vote and determine the future of the company and stuff like that. And then that's one of the applications, right? They talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's many others, but like, yeah. But yeah, I guess I want to go back to just Ethereum, a paper, an idea, right? So anyway, you want to go talk about like what you think about the paper?
I think it's interesting that they implemented a programming language inside Ethereum.
Yeah.
So like Bitcoin is something that you can just do like add and subtract on, like that. Those are the only operations you can do, but you can actually do more than that in Ethereum. And I'm not sure exactly how much more than that. Like, can it go and pull a website and get some data off of it and then like use that to decide? Or because like it talks about like smart contracts, how if a certain condition is true, then you would like transfer money to one party, and if it's not true, then transfer money to another party, and things about loops. But like, what else can it do? What other information can it take in as
input? Supposedly there's a computer game that's completely on chain right now. So I think they use Ethereum to like build a computer game. You actually can play and interact with it. I'm not sure. I don't remember the game, but you probably can Google it and find it out. So I guess that's one application. I'm not sure how is it a good use of Ethereum, but anyway, that's one way people were using it. Yeah, build a game about it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I think anyway, let's go to Mike. What do you think?
I mean, I don't necessarily have, I guess, super strong opinions. I mean, I was just looking back at the paper, and yeah, I mean, I feel like a lot of this is, I guess I'm still waiting to see like what, just like a very sort of like what Matt said, just like a very definitive, like this has a good application that is like novel and different here. So I mean, what I've seen with like, I mean, Ethereum. So you brought up a point that I've thought about a lot. I feel like with a big advantage, or like the only big advantage I see with crypto and Ethereum, is essentially making like transactions, like bringing like privacy into digital transaction. So like, I mean, voting is, you know, sort of like, I mean, yeah, we go when we have our physical voting booth set up, but I mean, like if you use like the blockchain for voting, that could allow for sort of just like private voting on digital devices, and like, I guess like contractual things, like where the parties are not like, I mean, Bitcoin really became popularized on like the dark web, right? I mean, like exactly. That was, so I mean, I think, yeah. So I guess reading these papers, it's like it fills in some of the technical details, but like, I guess
you're still skeptical about an idea.
Well, is there something beyond privacy that these offer us? And because I mean,
okay,
privacy is not a small thing, so that's
yeah. Okay, so the main thing is called. Have you guys heard of Web 3.0? like people in the buzzword right now, Web 3.0.
Heard of it, but I don't know what it is.
So Web 1.0 is like before like 1991, right? It's like beginning of internet. It's like everybody's like very in the beginning of internet. And Web 2.0 is like after like 2004, right? Where you can have like these big companies like social media, like Facebook. Basically, internet became like very centralized, right? Only these big companies like Google and the big tech company control the internet basically, right? Like Twitter can deplatform you anytime they want, right? Like, stuff like that. So it's the internet really being centralized like right now, right? This Web 2.0. And the Web 3.0 is the whole idea of blockchains enabling. So basically decentralized internet. People are taking back the power of the internet basically individually, right? Instead of concentrating, make into like these 5 big companies, basically you are decentralizing it. That's the whole point of Web 3.0, right? That's what everybody's talking about right now, which is like in this moment, like after 2021, I guess.
So you're talking about like PeerTube and those kind of sites.
So what?
PeerTube, it's like YouTube but decentralized.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, social network as well. Potentially, stuff like that. So these are what these blockchains potentially is able to do, right? So, and going back, actually,
saying it would do a service like YouTube or Twitter, but rather than relying on one company's servers,
yes,
it would just run on everyone who uses it their own computer, and do the same thing.
Yes, mm-hmm. Yeah, and you're also going to be governed by a community. Right, instead of like the company make decision by what's the best for this YouTube, you have these like users like gonna own the company basically. So imagine like Uber, right? Uber, instead of like the Uber company control Uber, each driver when they drive they have a token, they earn tokens, and they can have make decision on when the company is gonna go right in the future, right? So basically, this is very good idea. Basically, I think this is actually enable what Marxism was talking about before, right? Instead of like capital, right, in the hand of like few, you basically have capital in terms of everybody. And I think like socialism and communism should actually embrace it, right? This all going to enable communism, basically, right? So I don't know why China actually banned Bitcoin, but anyway, that's what's if you believe anyway. So that's just tangential point, but anyway.
So that makes an interesting. One of the things about that is who, I guess getting people to make something, even if it runs on other people's computers, right? Like your PeerTube, like the incentive to continue to develop and improve upon it, if it's not owned by you and you can't make profit off of it, is not as strong. That's not saying there aren't people who do open source programming and just release stuff for free for usefulness, but you're going to have to compete with companies that will be doing anything they can to make a better service for the potential of profit, right?
Where is it?
But yeah, I mean, you can have, so anyway, that's what I like about these technologies. That it's also, as you mentioned, it's all open source, right? Anybody can just look at the code and how it does, like change it. You can submit code changes, stuff like that, to this. So it's not controlled by a specific company.
And then you use your Ethereum vote to determine if a PR request is pulled or not, accepted, merged in.
I think so. Yeah. Anyway, so maybe in the future, maybe we should just maybe download the Bitcoin core and code and see if we can just create another Junto coin or something. Anyway, we might do that in the future, see how it goes. But anyway, so going back to Ethereum, actually, what I found Ethereum interesting is the founder, like who the person that came up with the Ethereum is called Vitalik Buterin. Have you guys heard of him before? All right, so he created Ethereum when he was like maybe 19, 20. I mean 20 on who was like 21 years old. So it's like he's a pretty young guy. So he is the reason that he created Ethereum. So here's what he say. So here's a quote from an article somewhere. So Buterin has stated that he was driven to create decentralized money because his World of Warcraft character was nerfed especially by patch 3.1.0. He went on to say that in his bio that I happily play World of Warcraft during 2007 to 2010, but one day Blizzard removed the damage component from my beloved Warlock's Siphon Life spell. I cried myself to sleep, and on that day I realized what horrors centralized services can bring. I soon decided to quit. End quote.
That's amazing, actually. I'm now an onboard supporter of Ethereum. I'm going to change all my investments to stuff on it because that's the best origin story I've ever heard. Blizzard nerfed my WoW character, so I created a technology that's now, like changing the world. Wow.
That's why you can make a game on it.
Yeah. Now, quick stupid question. I did not really look into like what nerf means because I wanted to ask you guys what nerf means. So what did
nerf?
Yeah.
In gaming, a nerf is when they make something weaker. So it's the opposite of a buff. The analogy is like Nerf guns, like they don't hurt because they shoot like little Nerf things. They're like soft, right? So it's like making it could be your attack, but it could be anything worse is a nerf.
Mm-hmm.
So, what's hilarious though is I feel like if this guy has ever spent any time on like a video game forum, if you allowed like the majority to vote on what things would be nerfed, it's probably going to be worse than letting the game developers do it most of the time. I would love to see a game where the community is allowed. This is what I hope Ethereum does now. I hope they make a popular game that the community can vote on balance changes and watch just the shit show as the community wildly like slams whatever the flavor of the month, like build or item or whatever it is. That'd be hilarious.
Yeah.
That sounds like a great game concept, actually.
It would be chaotic, but it might be fun just to like watch the shit show, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Anyway, that's just interesting. I mean, I like the founder because he actually doesn't. He also writes a lot. He actually publishes like blogs almost every week, writing about like interesting, very cool ideas. Like also some half of the stuff he's writing I don't really understand because it's so much very mathematics heavy, right? Some of the concepts like one thing he talked about, I think I learned one thing is something called quadratic voting, and that's another interesting idea about voting stuff like that. I think anyway he talks a lot. He writes a lot more than just like cryptocurrency basically. He talk about society, all this stuff like that. So he been so young as well, and he tried to explain. I mean, he probably has so much money right now. I don't know why he's still writing and try to explain stuff to people. But so that's why anyway. So yeah.
Maybe we should change our podcast to be based on him instead of Benjamin Franklin.
Maybe in the future. Maybe he's after maybe Charlie Munger dies, and then he's gonna be the next the modern day Benjamin Franklin. I don't know. So, I think Charlie Munger still got a few years to go. So, anyway, so going back to Ethereum, if I want to make an analogy of what Ethereum is like Bitcoin is like, for example, it's like a calculator, right? If you think about Bitcoin as a calculator, you can think of Ethereum as a computer, basically, right?
Mm-hmm.
Calculator is like Bitcoins can only do one thing, which is store and keep track of like transactions, whereas Ethereum actually enables people like to program to build stuff on using the computer to build stuff, basically, right? Instead of just calculating stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's one way out for me personally looking at and Ethereum. So one thing about a lot of people are talking. So Ethereum basically is like another thing you look at is like universal. If it's a computer, then it's a universal computer, right? Because you have all these like other different like decent or network of computer basically doing computing stuff for you. Right, so that's why it's kind of called universal computer. And the one thing he talked about is that he want to create Ethereum such that it's Turing complete. So my question for you guys is like, what does that mean? Like to be a computer to be Turing complete?
So if something's Turing complete, then it can like calculate anything that can be calculated. So it's like has the necessary operations to, calculate anything built in. It's usually discussed in terms of programming languages, like is this language Turing complete?
Got you.
But Mike was the actual computer science undergrad, so he should know this better.
Yeah, Mike.
I mean that's basically it. But yeah, like any type of like, basically the idea is programming languages are all equivalent if they can do, like, if there's any problem that can be solved in one, it needs to be able to be solved in the other, even if it's like, for example, like Python. Well, I mean, like Python and C++, it's pretty easy to see like any problem that can be solved in one can be solved in the other because the same operations are present. But there are some like Pascal or like logic-based programming languages where it's like they're really efficient at doing certain types of problems, but in theory you could implement like a GUI in them as well. So, but it would just be a total nightmare. But
fun fact, Microsoft PowerPoint is Turing complete.
What?
I'm not kidding. Have y'all never? You should look this up. Someone made a presentation where they implemented like basically like a small computer in PowerPoint using like animations where you like click a link to like slide to a different part in memory and do like a different command. And he demonstrated that PowerPoint's Turing complete, which is one of the craziest things I've seen.
All right.
Now, it would be literally the worst way to ever do any language. But,
program things.
Anyway.
So, sounds good. Going back to Ethereum now, is Ethereum Turing complete as he claims it to be?
That's what he claims, yeah.
Or
I don't know.
Did he talk about in the paper, and why is it Turing complete?
The main thing he talked about is that it can go back, right? You can make loops out of it.
Okay.
Without that, you can't be Turing complete. Basically, you need to be able to jump backwards.
Okay. So in the paper, he didn't really show that why it is like Turing complete.
I mean, basically, if you can like add, subtract, and then if else, and then you can also jump back and form a loop, then it's Turing complete.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. So it's pretty easy to make it Turing complete then.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Cool. Any final thoughts on Ethereum?
So if Ethereum is Turing complete, could we summarize what it gives you by saying it's a way to do any sort of computation decentralized and have like a consensus, like a decentralized consensus that this computation was valid or executed according to like the rules or contracts, right?
Right.
Say it again?
So just like what Ethereum does is like in the same way that Bitcoin lets you kind of decentralized confirmed transactions take place, Ethereum lets you have a decentralized and validated consensus that some general computation happened, which I mean is very broad, right? That could obviously do a lot of things, but then comes the question of I still think it comes down to what is really useful to be able to do a computation and then have a decentralized consensus that like that was valid. So I say it again, Mike?
Well, I was just gonna say like it's almost like a decentralized like cloud computing type service, or.
But it's not like
it's more like so Bitcoin allows you to bypass a central bank, right? And I think Ethereum allows you to bypass a judge.
What do you mean by that?
You don't need judges and lawyers to argue your case and prove that you follow the contract or someone didn't follow the contract. You can have Ethereum do that for you.
Yeah, the smart contract they say, right?
Yeah.
Because it's not cloud computing, right? Because it's explicitly different. Because it's not like other computers are working on the same computation you are, and you're combining your results. Other computers are just helping validate that your result is
it would be
true
an
and not made
extremely
up.
slow cloud computer and
It's a
expensive.
It makes it more computation rather than helping like divide up computation.
Right. It's just so that you can trust that the computation you expected to happen did happen.
So now a contract, when something, maybe insurance, for example, someone dies, and then the blockchain will automatically once that event happens, we execute it, and then the blockchain will say, okay, that's the true execution, is the correct execution, not a false execution of the contract, right? And then the insurance company will pay out the money because something, you don't need someone to say, okay, need the blockchain basically executes that contract automatically, right? You don't need some third party like a lawyer or something to go to the lawyer to stuff like that, right? Mm-hmm. Anyway, some kind of contract. Maybe that's a bad example. Just some kind of contract basically executes automatically on the chain.
Yeah. What my question that I didn't find an answer to would be like, how does Ethereum know, say like in your example, like when someone dies and execute the will, how does Ethereum know when someone dies?
I think this is similar to how does it decide that you are the one who owns the NFT that you register, right? Like, is it just but if you puts in the information first? If
you own your like proof that you're alive, then how do you tell Ethereum that you died?
Very good question. Maybe that's a bad application and for Ethereum.
I mean, you would have to trust someone else to inform Ethereum for you.
Well, I guess a way to put this is Bitcoin only deals like internal to Bitcoin, right? Like it just transmits the Bitcoins back and forth between accounts. But like Ethereum, if you're using these general contracts, it needs like connection to the outside information, right? Is that essentially the fundamental issue? I believe it would need outside information to like determine what happens in these contracts, right? If they're really general.
Right.
Or maybe
it would have to be in the form of the like an input to the Ethereum network, which would be just another transaction.
So in the paper, did you guys read anything about how did they implement that the blockchain such that they make the contract? I guess how did they program a smart contract into the blockchain?
That's just part of the thing that you execute. Like instead of adding and subtracting number, you can upload your own program into it. And a lot of the paper is talking about, how do you defend against a malicious attack if someone just runs an infinite loop? Because then like your whole network would be running infinite loops. And so that's where the gas concept comes in, is that it will only execute so many steps of this program. And if it doesn't finish by the time you run out of gas, then you invalidate the transaction.
Oh, so when you are saying that, so instead of adding and subtracting like Bitcoin, in that operation, you can actually write a program into that. Instead of doing add and subtract, you can actually write a program, do more than adding and subtract. You can do more other stuff like a program. More complicated program, and then they do that by allow you to do like loops and for loops and stuff like that, like programming, and then that actually can cause people to run an infinite loop, and then so they implement a gas fee for people. So every time you run execution program, you actually cost some kind of money called gas.
Yeah, every step of that program is going to cost some gas. And that gas is decided by the sender.
So you pay the fee up front, and if you finish early, you get the extra gas back. But if you fail to finish, you spend all your gas and you don't get it back. So you can, if you don't give enough of gas for your program to run, you can lose the money, basically because you're paying for the work. And then, not get anything out of it, though, not have the transaction become valid.
That's cool. I think that's good enough for today. But last question, how many times you went through the papers? Because I went through it a few times and I still don't really quite get it. But anyway, so how many times you went through it? Just once?
Just once. That
Wow.
means I don't fully understand everything, but
All right.
you know,
Oh, I
how
feel
many
like
times am I going to read these papers?
Yeah, well, no, I feel like Bitcoin, I was like, because we've talked about it in the past, I feel like I've read a decent amount about it. But yeah, the Ethereum one, I guess I probably could go through a few more times.
Yeah, the Ethereum paper actually helped me understand Bitcoin because at the beginning of the paper, he just basically explains what Bitcoin is. Get actually more detail, right, than the Bitcoin paper. Right.
Yeah.
So yeah. So cool. I think that's anything else for today.
Do we have any idea what our next topic is?
That's for you and Mike and Matt to decide. Each of us gonna come up with something else, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna keep talking. I'm basically gonna go all in on crypto in the future, so I'll be basically bringing crypto topics.
Are we gonna
Maybe
vote?
yeah, we did not talk about Solana, right? So next time we talk about Solana.
Are we gonna vote on the next topic using Ethereum?
Oh yeah, that's a good idea. Junto coins. Yeah.
Every time your topic's one of the main topics, you get another vote coin. So whoever's done the most gets the most voting power.
I'll see. Do you have a topic that you want to talk about? You know, I think you're trying to create a virtual reality game. We can talk about virtual reality and stuff. I don't know.
Sure.
Yeah, we can decide that later, I guess. Yeah.
But is the virtual reality game on the blockchain?
It's going to be now. It's going to be now.
It's going to be it's going to run very slowly as, computers all around the world try to verify that your actions are valid, but you'll be able to play.
1 frame per lifetime.
It'll finally confirm when people are like playing Call of Duty, like, and they get shot and they're like, no fucking way, I shot him first. Now they'll have a definitive answer.
It's like 20 minutes later, it like comes in. All right, it's good. It was a valid shot. Like, I guess it's fair. Yeah. But, for those mobile games that already lock you out for like 2 hours because they're trying to get you to pay for currency, it could work for that, though, sort of thing. You do some stuff, you walk away, comes back,
Mine something while you're gone.
Take Minecraft to the next level.
Yeah.
All right, bad joke.
All right.
So she's got to go pack, right?
Yeah, she's got to go pack.
Go
I
pack
have to
you.
go back to work.
Sounds good. Yeah, might have to go too. So.
All right. So I'll have a topic next week.
Sounds good.
Stay tuned for that thrilling, hook for our listeners. There will be a topic next week. I'm sure they're very excited.
Maybe sports. I said I would do that eventually.
Okay. I can see that.
All right.
Speaking of sports, have you heard of something called Crowd House? It's a DAO. It's a DAO basically try to buy an NBA team. So anyway, maybe we can talk about it more next time.
All right. Okay.
Is every topic going to be connected to crypto for you from now on?
Exactly. Also, have you heard of the constitutional DAO recently? Something happened.
Are people trying to want to make a new constitution based on a DAO?
No, they try to buy a copy of the first constitution, the U.S. Constitution.
Oh.
Actually, it was on sale. I think Sotheby was doing an auction, right? So this DAO, so a lot of people donate a lot of money using Ethereum. Basically, actually, they donate a lot of money, maybe around $40 million, actually, to this DAO, actually to buy a copy of the Constitution. But actually, on the auction, they failed because, do you know who outbid them?
Charlie Munger.
No, I think it's some guy actually from the meme stock, the villain in the meme stock GameStop. I think I forgot his name now, but anyway, he basically is one of those most hated guys by the meme stock crowd, the GameStop crowd, because he was like one of the hedge fund guys, and then he basically outbid these crypto people.
So did they get their money back, or did the guy who collect all the donations was he like, oh, sorry guys, and then just like peaced out with 40 million?
The DAO actually tried to refund people money. It's a pain in the ass, but anyway, they're not gonna do it. Actually, they might not need to do it because the token for this DAO is called people token, right? And after they failed the bid, the people token actually got spiked up in price. So maybe they don't even need to get refund now because they just need to hold it and then get it higher. Maybe they can sell it later. So
Wow.
so actually the people, I feel like that's pretty well deserved because these people actually want to buy the Constitution. They just donate the money. They didn't actually expect to own a piece of the Constitution, but somehow anyway. So I think they got rewarded for anyway. It's a good. I think that's a perfect meme token, I guess, the people token. So anyway, yeah. So that's one application for these, decentralized Ethereum applications, right? You get this community, actually, people come together to do something that cannot be done individually. So
Because
Kinda
there's
feels-
trust.
It kind of feels like just gambling on literally anything, right? Like take anything, make a coin for it, and then just roll the dice and see if it makes money or not.
yeah, you can. It's another way of looking at it. But so is life. Life is gambling too. So
I guess in a sense.
I think
You're
that's
about
a
to
good
take a
point to
plane
end on.
flight. That's
Yeah.
a gamble.
yeah.
All right.
All right. I think that's a good point to end on. Life is a gamble.
Sounds
Mike's
good.
got his title for this episode.
That's right. Yeah, that's
It's not
people-
helpful at all to discuss what we were talking about. But
No, exactly. Yeah, people will listen to the first hour and a half and be like, "I'm not seeing where this is coming from." But for those
Yeah.
who stuck out to the end, find
All
better
right.
things to do with it. All right, life's a gamble.
Junto Club.